Now I don't think there was a DRM1, except there was a review made of the various structural issues and how those would be resolved via pictures or whatever it was in text. But I returned to this project to do a few more things before I got back with you on where you wanted to go with it. And I'll try to keep in mind everything I wanted to tell you and run this as quickly as I can. So this is what we kind of had put together from the Powell Plan B, and putting in the windows approximately as shown, leaving this wall alone for the moment. We have something like this, and these are the existing walls that are coming out, and this is down in the basement. We don't know what's happening under where you want to move the toilet to. We don't know what's happening in there, but I assume there's a crawl space kind of thing there. I mean, you can't really get to it, but from the top you can. And this, we know what this is. I don't show this in the plans I drew in 2015, what exactly we did to come across here and then bring those joists. And there's the first floor overlaying this foundation with the new bath over here, and it's convenient to wherever this waistline's going out. And so this just becomes a crawl space then. The new foundation will become a crawl space, and we already talked about these details here. There's going to be, I don't know about this chimney, whether that's venting an appliance in here or fixture. And there are, it looks like a dryer vent in any event, or something, some sort of event may be coming through these windows here. And we'll have to provide some sort of access to this crawl space, presumably through one of these windows. Additionally, there's that slab that's on top of this sunroom foundation, and my best guess is that that is sawn off 4 or 5 inches back from the front of the foundation to provide a brick ledge. And then that floor is framed over with treated lumber sleepers and some insulation put in it. Coming upstairs, you can see the same thing in reverse, the existing walls that are coming out here. But with regard to these existing walls that are coming out, right here, this is apparently how this was put together when this wall existed. So if we're going to open this up through here with the flush ceiling, we're going to have to put an additional, some sort of member through there to carry those floor joists. And there was the go-in plan, the starting plan, with the windows more or less put in. And this whole next section with all these elevations looking from this side, looking south toward this wall, are all working with it, what you want to happen with this window here. You can see that you have a wall coming in here, and that window has got to go in this plan. So I began by working with that and seeing what we were going to do to resolve some of the issues there. This red line is the center line of the kitchen, and this is the LVL beam coming through, and so we have to provide support down through there. I mean, that can be bridged with yet another short beam, so we don't really have to pay too much attention to that. But going to this, taking that window out then completely, going to this view, these are the rooms. This is the rooms inside the dining room and the family room, the modified family room. That window is going to be gone, and that window's gone, and that is the center line of the new dining room according to the drawing, and that you have the table actually centered on that, if I recollect correctly. Yes, so that's the center line of the new room, and that is, this hatched bit is where the bearing has to come through. We can ignore that, and I didn't get to that till after this section, but this section relies on that staying there, some sort of solid framing coming down to the foundation through there. That doesn't need to be that way, it could be bridged, but if we do it that way, we have this sort of a division, and if we have a window in the center, that's its maximum width. If we have this piece coming down through here, 42 inches, and we don't know what height, the height assuming something like this, and we put in 342 so that keep those consistent, and you could get these wider, the flanking ones wider to 48. Your existing one is 54, and so to go that wide, certain manufacturers, Marvin makes these wide like this, but that almost becomes a bit overpowering to me. And maybe if it were done this way, maybe that window is pulled up and made an awning window or some fixed unit or something like this. But I think eventually I went back to these only being 42 wide to give a little wall space in there. And I'm assuming double hungs, at least on these elevations here, double hung windows. And maybe that middle one, you look at this middle one, maybe that is pulled up and made into a fixed unit or an awning window, so that you would have some wall space down here for some sort of dining room furniture. And remember, yeah, there is room to have furniture on that wall. So perhaps that is what it's done, is that's pulled up into a fixed unit or awning window. And this downspout, what we're going to do with that is come down against this wall and then across this roof and down into this one here. This corner board will probably just, eventually I just get rid of that corner board below the roof itself. But I ran with those 42-inch wide windows, same height as what you have over here. And I actually turned that into an awning, as I said. Maybe that's art glass even, but maybe that's art glass of one type or another. So some things to think about on that elevation and in that room, and how you want that room to feel. But coming down to this foundation, we already said my idea was that gets cut back for a brick ledge, and then presumably, I don't know if this is this built out foundation. I don't know if that's what wants to happen here, so that you have that same look. It comes all the way around, but that's what I'm showing. And then for the back, it shapes up something like this. This roof is like 312, so there'll have to be ice and water shield put on that whole thing. This really works out pretty easily. The door was converted to a window, and we have to talk about that second floor eventually, because you had mentioned some things that might happen up there. But I have the downspouts coming from that second floor roof down here across this roof and down here and across this roof and down. I have this last gutter here, this gutter at the bottom, a 6-inch gutter to handle that flow. And from the overview then, something like this, and I just have these, I have double casement windows in here looking out this way, just because they're easier to open and the view will be nicer with the tall unobstructed vertical view. But as far as that existing bit there, I think just take that out and integrate that, something like that. Coming back inside with your overlay, the plan overlay, and then these windows are put in, and I have a sliding door put in here, and I'm showing a 6 foot, and there's a lot to be said about this exterior, and I'm not even going to begin to cover it right now, what is going to happen out there, because there are impervious issues to cover, etc. And I haven't even reviewed that. But transitioning to whatever happens out there is something to be considered. And Anderson makes some awfully nice doors that are like folding doors that fold and open completely up. But it depends on which of these pathways you think is going to be the more main pathway to what is happening out here. And I only want to say a couple other things with regard to this plan here. This is that situation with that beam, and that's what I did there, is just used a single LVL, which would probably be enough, maybe a couple, but just flush beams across there, and with these joists, the existing joists, suspended on those, all that work done from below. And I had earlier thought this was a little tight, but this is 3'5" here, so that's not really tight. You know, I would not consider that tight at all. What the issue really is with, particularly now, you had abandoned the front door already a while ago, and so this is the main path through here, and this becomes more and more constricted coming through here. So I want to look at least at a little something to try to see if that could be addressed at the same time. It's not a simple solution. Well, I mean, this part is simple, changing the bath to this sort of an arrangement here. that much is simple. But that door right now, I think this is how it's set up now, with the storm door and this hinge this way like that. And I don't know, maybe if you increase that to a 36-inch door, it just closes your pathway down here for one thing. And you have to increase the length of that bath to get that door pushed up. Not as much as I'm showing, but you would have to increase it some. And move that door over there, and I don't know, maybe this, when you have the storm door hinged backward like this, and this one hinged like this, so this one's nice. It opens up against this wall, and you open it from here. But to get in here and unlock it, it's what I call a Z door, because you're coming in and like this. I'm not sure about that either, but I do like increasing the width of that door. I mean, it does require brickwork to do that. That's only a 30-inch door now. There are, I'm showing, going all the way out, zip doors to a 36. It could go to a 32 or 34 for that solves that too, and be changed in whatever way you like. This arrangement in terms of the door style itself. And this is another, you know, this door could swing back against this wall if you just like to have the storm door open. And this is not too terrible. You know, maybe that does go down to 34, but the bathroom could be shrunk down to quite a bit, like this, and then widened some too, I think. You could see your clearance path up through here. So now we have that same, you had 3'5" at that diagonal corner. Now we have 3'4", if this cabinetry is 15 inches deep, which is not really typical for American manufacturers. Usually it's 12 or 18, etc. But if that's 15, you still have 40 inches through here. In the bath, 33 or 39 is a lot more. In the scheme of things, that extra 3 inches is a lot more. And I'm not overly thrilled, I'm never overly thrilled about these interior baths without a window. And this doesn't really lend itself to a window, but if you do any of this door work, depending on how that shapes up, there is going to be brickwork required. It's nice because you're all painted brick, so that can all just be put together pretty quickly and painted without much headache. There's not really a great place for a window, and so I just put the typical smallest casement window that you could. I just think it makes all the difference in an interior bath like this, is having some sort of window through it. And that also can be frosted glass, or it almost would have to be frosted glass or art glass. I mean, it could have blinds on it for that matter. And then finally, for this film, a couple finished photos of what has been put together so far. I don't think it's great, but you have a lot of tree cover there, so I don't think that's a big issue if it's doing what you want inside for you. I can live with this, and I think it looks better from this angle here. But again, the landscaping and whatnot, it's just a big change taking out that wide window, and I don't think we can get away again with making these two wide or doing anything that way. I still do prefer this one coming up like this, even the issue of furniture aside, just to give us a little more mass over here. But that's it for this. I just wanted to update you and see kind of, I'm not sure, I wasn't sure who was going to put together this kitchen design in here, all this design work in here, both with textures and product, etc. So I didn't know who was going to do that or this. And it's worth mentioning, there's some serious nice moldings in some of these rooms here, and it'll have to be decided whether that same spirit is going to be carried through these new spaces. That's it for now. Happy New Year.